And I'm starting the recording. This is gonna be for the we're doing a live broadcast on Friday for all the protests that are happening in Quebec City and Montreal. So
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, that would be great actually. Okay, so we'll just get started. Are you ready?
Yeah.
Okay, great. So yeah, to start, can you introduce yourself?
My name is Rushdia Mehreen. I'm here in Rio to kind of a delegate of class, basically.
Okay, and so of course you're in Rio de Janeiro in Brazil, and there's the Rio Plus 20 conference that's happening. But also it's kind of interesting because Jean Charest, the Premier of Quebec, is down in Rio de Janeiro right now. To start, I guess we heard the news that he was heavily criticized in Brazil for the Plan Nord. Can you talk a little
Exactly.
bit about that?
Yeah, so he was criticized a lot, not only at the main session by Suzanne Meto, I believe, but also there have been many ateliers, many workshops. There was one organized by Quebec Quebec Civil Society on Plan R, and yes, he was heavily criticized, and there'll be kind of a manifesto or like a report coming out from that. In addition to that, what Share did, I guess he's trying to kind of show that he actually is listening to people, or I don't know what, but he did this series of meeting sessions, an hour session with civil society from Quebec who's here. So like they were emails sent out. There was one on Sunday. There was one this morning, and there's one planned tomorrow, I believe. I don't know if they'll still have it. So basically, what was happening was he was giving this his time to people and saying that I'm listening to people. This is democracy, blah blah blah. But what was happening was he's not doing that in Quebec at all. So there was this demonstration that was organized this morning. It was mainly organized by us, as in like by class, like myself, and there were other members from other member associations of class. Um, do you want me to go on this
Yes,
or?
please tell us about the demonstration today.
Yeah, so it was actually co-organized by us, by class, and by ANEL, which is the National Student Association, like an independent National Student Association of Brazil. So it's like a similar to class in some sense. It regroups many universities. We co-organized. There were people from the Quebec delegate who were there. There were lots of students from Brazil who was here. You'll see, I guess, the pictures and videos. It was amazing. So we basically were out there telling Share that real consultations, real meetings have to happen in Quebec. That he can just sit here in Rio, in Copacabana, and do this an hour session and say that no, I've done my part. I've talked to people. I know what they're saying when there is a social crisis happening in Quebec.
And what was the reaction, I guess, of people in Rio de Janeiro to this demonstration?
Well, we have been going to many student meetings so far, like myself, and there were a couple of other students who were there. So we were in the National Assembly of NL, and then we also went to they are basically starting a commando national, so it's like a national coordination of their own strike, which I will let Clara from NL speak more about it. But in short, they are, well, the university teachers, professors are already on strike from 55 federal universities, but now students from over 30 universities are also on strike. So what they are doing at this point is having this kind of trying to build a coordination center so they can coordinate the whole strike in Brazil. So this is like intergroup, so inter-association coordination. So we've been there at both these events. So the students and they had asked us to speak about Quebec, and um, they have been saying that Brazil will be like Quebec. So it was exciting to see this. that they were so much aware of what was happening in Quebec, and that they were happy to receive us and have this exchange. Um, so they were there, and it was cool. But also on the street in front of the hotel, there were people passing by and stopping to ask us what was happening, and we were explaining sometimes in Portuguese, sometimes like I don't speak Portuguese really, so I was simply saying something like student solidarity, and they were taking the red squares and putting on right away, and so it was just amazing in terms of support that we got. However, well, in the beginning there was some security and some police presence. We started this off at about 9 o'clock. Um, Around, I would say, 10:30, around there were more police started coming in, and then there was kind of a riot police that came in more towards the end, uh, and they were saying that since it's this foreign diplomat or foreign political person is there, that they are kind of exercising extra pressure. So that was interesting to see. Um,
Great. Again, we're speaking with Rushdia Mehreen, who is joining us from Rio de Janeiro, Brazil right now. She's down at the Rio Plus 20 conference on climate change, but there, of course, as a representative of class and meeting with student associations. Thank you so much for this update, Rushdia.
Thanks, Sarah.
Aqui está presente o movimento estudantil. Nas ruas, nas praças, no Brasil. Aqui está presente o movimento estudantil. Nas ruas, nas praças, no Brasil. Aqui está presente o movimento estudantil. Nas ruas, nas praças, no Brasil. Aqui está presente o movimento estudantil. Nas praças.
I'm Clara Saraiva. I'm from the National Coordination of ANEL.
Okay, and to start, can you tell us what is ANEL?
What? I'm sorry, can you repeat?
Yes, so can you tell us a little bit about your organization? What is ANEL?
Okay. ANEL is like a federation, national, of all the students in Brazil. And we are we are represented in universities and schools also. And we have students that are activists from strikes, from fights against other country, defending the education, the free education, and the public education, with an alliance with all the workers in Brazil also. So we're part of this center of workers also of the social movement, to join our reivindications, our demands for a better country, a better education. And we're getting 3 years our movement. In this last week, and now it completes 3 years of existence. We are fruit of we're like a consequence of a reorganization process in the students' movement here in Brazil, because we had the most traditional federation, the most traditional organization, students' organization, that was UNI, like as National Students Union. And this association now is totally co-opted for the government. And we have to, felt the need of founding another national association, a national organization of students who are democratic, who are independent to the government, for represent, in fact, the students. And that was what we're trying to do with ANEL.
Mm-hmm. And so it's interesting. We were just speaking with Rushdia, who is from class, and that kind of that I guess that organizational structure that you just described of being more democratic. We've seen that here in Quebec. There's kind of, I guess, critiques that some of the student associations here work very closely with the government, and class, of course, uses general assemblies with all their membership to pass their decisions on the strike. Is your organization similar to class? Like, do you use general assemblies to pass decisions, or how do you work?
Yes, we work in ANEL with all the decisions vinculated with the basis of the students' basis. Then what we did, the what we work. We make national assemblies and like for estados, states in Brazil. Brazil is very big, and a lot of states, different states, and then we call states assemblies and national assemblies. And these assemblies, who votes, who votes for all the decisions, the deliberations, is the students that were elected in his basis. And then in your graduation, in your school, the students make an assembly, basis assembly, or meeting and vote for one represents that goes to the national, the statal assembly and votes.
Okay.
It was clear? I don't know if we could comprehend, understand.
And so right now in Brazil, there's as far as I understand it, there's over 30 universities who are on strike. So can you
Yes,
tell us a
40.
little bit about this strike? Like, why did it start, and what are some of the demands or the issues that you're fighting over?
Okay. We have the most strong strike in the last 10 years in Brazil, only compared to the strike in 1998. And over 40 universities in strike in student strike, and over 55 universities in the professor strikes. And now the technicals that work in the universities is also in strikes too. So it's a general strike in education in Brazil. It's very, very strong. We make a demonstration in the capital of Brazil with like 15,000 people. And we are making a lot of assemblies that is historical. Like in my university, we make an assembly with 2,000 students that didn't happen since the 90s. And our strike, the student strike, starts with the support for the professor strikes, but they were motivated because the situation, the conditions of universities in Brazil. We now are passing by to a expensive process of universities that call the project that called Reuni, and this project is the project that is inspired by the Bologna project, that the Europe Union, and it's a project that makes the universities get less qualification in the quality of the process, the formation process that students have, and to occupy the most precarization postos de trabalho, work posts. Yeah. Okay. It's like to make the quality universities transforming the precarization education. It's a process very deep in the education, the high education in Brazil. And it's combined with also a project that makes advance the privatization in university. It's not like in Chile, in Brazil, that we have to pay for the mensality that we have to pay to study directly. Here in Brazil, it's more dispersed. It's not so evident. In Brazil, the companies, the corporations get inside the investigations and using like a mask to saying that support the public education, but in fact they are paying to make an education for your interest, the lucros, the profits, for your profits. So that is a global education model that we are criticizing, and the strike is against this project, this model of project of education that the government here, Dilma, and that the government, the PT, the Works Party, is um, it's it's putting down to all the education in Brazil, and the students and professors and the technicals are and a very, very strong strike to get to say against this.
Okay, and so here in Quebec, one issue that a lot of students who are facing are on strike is lots of repression from the police for doing pickets in front of universities, for doing demonstrations. I'm wondering if students in Brazil have faced very much repression so far from police.
Yes, our movement is it's in iniciando, it's in the beginning, yes, in the initial state now. We have like 3 weeks only in the a very strong movement. So the repression is now not so strong than it's in Quebec or it was in Chile and everything. But already we have just some signs of that we will face even more repression. For example, students were occupying direction of the rector, and then they were there like a few weeks, and the police get in, didn't make any delegation, and expel them and getting them in prison, and then we make a huge campaign for the liberation of the students. Other example that we went to Brasilia, that is the capital of Brazil, and we make a solicitation that the education ministry receive the students for the delegation for negotiation, and they didn't receive us. Then the students want to get in to the ministry, and they receive us with a lot of repression of the police, spray, pepper spray, and um, beating us and all this kind of stuff. So yes, there are repression, but we believe that the radicalization of that the movement is taking now, it will aumentar, it will make the repression increase. It will increase the repression very, very soon. And we are already preparing ourselves so we can be more organized for getting enfrentar when it comes.
And I guess the last question I wanted to ask you was we just saw that there was a statement of solidarity that was made from Brazilian students who are on strike with striking students in Quebec. So, can you talk a little bit about that? If you can send a message right now to all the students here in Quebec who are watching this interview, what would you like to tell them?
Okay. No, for us, from ANEL, the international solidarity with all the students is it's very, very important. We included, we make a meeting like 2 or 3 months ago that had here in Brazil, Rio in Brazil, like students associations, organizations of 8 countries, different, and it was very, very important. We found a group that is initiating that calls many young people just one struggle, and we are getting organization this group, and we want to talk to all the students in Quebec to join our group too, because it's an attention that we can make this international solidarity make concrete or make like national campaigns, like one day international, that we can all together make the same action in every country that transformates this feeling that we have, this strong that we have to transform our education, our countries in an action, in a common action, international. And here in Brazil, the students that are at front of the strike, now in education strike, knew about the situation in Quebec, and also feel that your struggle is an example and inspiring for us, very inspiring for us, because we want to do this. We don't want to make the movement only for students, only in the universities, even not only for education. We want to make like Russia was showing to me like a social strike, a strike that everybody could come together, all the workers in Brazil come together, and we can join this strength with all the students, the youth, and the workers in all the world. And that's what we want to build. And for build this, we have to make the international solidarity very present in each day, in each action that we make in our countries. So in Brazil, it was a very good experience for have these Canadians, the students, the Quebec students here to show and call us and tell us about about your struggle. And I want to say from ANEL, representing ANEL, that we are willing to make a lot of things together, a lot of actions together, because your struggle is our struggle too, and we're with all the disposition that we can get more strong the fight that we're making in Quebec. Then for us, it's very important this international solidarity, and we want to make this develop and getting even more strong.
We're speaking with Clara from ANEL, which is a student federation in Brazil. She's joining us right now on Skype from Rio de Janeiro in Brazil. And we want to just wish you all the solidarity as well in your strike and your struggle for access to education in Brazil.
Okay, thank you very much. It was a real pleasure for me to say with you, and
Yeah.
good luck in your struggle.
Do you want to pass the headset to your? Is it Gabriel, your other, the other guy who's there?
Okay,
Did he want to say
okay.
anything or?
Uh, we have a website that we are putting all the information about our strike. It's anelonline.org.
Okay,
You can you can send to us anything also. Okay.
great.
My name is Gabriel de Mello. Um, I'm from the UFRJ It's the director, it's Central Directory of Students. It's like a federation for the students of UFRJ. That is the Federal of Rio de Janeiro,
Great.
one of the most important federals in Brazil. And I'm also a part of ANEL.
Okay. And what do you study?
I do literature, Portuguese literature here in Brazil.
Okay. So we were just talking with Clara about the student strike that's happening in Brazil, but a question that I had is looking at, I guess, the situation a little bit more broadly in South America. We've heard a lot of news coming out of Chile with the student strike there, and I'm just wondering, like, yeah, if you could kind of give us a perspective of what's happening on the whole continent, and are there student federations in different countries in South America who are working together?
Well, there are fights and struggles in Brazil. There are in other countries as well. There is in Colombia, there is in Peru, there is in another lots of countries. Chile is the most known, is the better example because it is the greatest. But all other Latin America countries are moving itself as well. Here in Brazil, we're having this country, but in Colombia as well, in Peru as well.
Mm-hmm. And so what do you see as being the main issues of the strike for you? What are some of the important issues or demands there?
Well, our strike, the principle, it's the conditions we have to study or not to study. It's because, as Clara said, there was decreto, a decree. It's not. It was not too able to discuss. The government said this is how the education will be from now on, the superior education. That is called the reunion, R-I-U-N-I, reunion, and that it was very simple. We will duplicate the number of students, but we will not duplicate the number of the investment. We will not duplicate the number of teachers. We will not duplicate the number of education workers. And the existence, nothing.
Okay.
We just increased the number of students, and of course, we in 2007 we looked at it at that project, and we said, of course, it will give us a lot of headaches and a lot of problems, and it will be a total disaster. And 5 years later, what we see is we were right. We were right in 2007, and all the universities that accepted that that type of expansion that the government was demanding are now on strike. The result is the strike. We are not against expansion. Don't get us wrong. We want more poor in the universities. We want the democratization. We want every time more and more people having access to public education. But we want that with quality. We want that with conditions for better study. We want that with our libraries full of books, our laboratories working, our teachers with the possibility to give classes and not with 40 students, not 120 as some of the classes in UFRJ. It's one class, 1 hour a class, 100 and students. If every student makes one question, and there's no class, the time doesn't count. We want an expansion with at least 10% of the PIB, 10% of the internal brute of the money. 10% of the money that it's produced in Brazil invested in education.
And so, of course, just today, this morning, you were with a group of people in Rio de Janeiro, and there was a demonstration that was held outside of the hotel where our premier of Quebec, Jean Charest, was staying. So, can you just tell us what that was like for you to be demonstrating in solidarity with Quebec students in Brazil this morning?
Oh, no, we do that with very pride. Our fight's the same fight. I got there and saw the students of Quebec united, and of course that some of our students of ANEL would go there. Today we are having two acts, two fights. At the same hour, we divided the people because, of course, we want to show the solidarity to students in Quebec that are having kind of the same fight we're having here. Problems, the same, inclusive, the same enemy. We have the same enemy. So it makes all sense to us that if our fight's the same, if our enemy is the same, that it's the plans of cutting all the money from social education, from public education. Our enemy is the same. And besides all that, our enemy is the profits. Our enemy is the profits. They want more and more money for themselves and the government. So we have to see.
And finally, Gabriel, what do you think is going to happen next with the student strike in Brazil?
Or we increase the fight, the possibility of calling more and more and more people all the time for longer and greater protests, and go beyond the university and call all of the workers not only in education, but in all Brazil, uh, using the national command of students, national command of the strike that we just formalized. Or we do this, we call all the workers in Brazil to alongside with us in this fight, or we will be defeated and the government wins. So there's no agora. Now we are demanding of the government that sit with us and with our, how do you say pauta? with our with our leaders, with the national command, and negotiate with us our demands.
Okay. Well, again, we've been speaking with Gabriel, who's also from ANEL, a national student federation in Brazil, who have over 30 universities on strike right now. Gabriel, thank you so much for speaking with us today.
You're welcome. Just one thing I forgot. We deliberated 1 week of occupation of the universities. That is the week that will follow now, the next week. Students of Brazil, all of the states will do actions, radical actions to occupy our universities next week.
Okay, well, again, thank you so much, Gabriel, and we wish you all the best and lots of solidarity in your struggle.
For us all.
Okay. Bye-bye. Take care.
Bye bye. Take care.